Hello everyone, it's Brian here. Welcome to my response to the tag called A Tribute to Summer tag. And I think it was approximately a week ago when I saw the video pop up in my feed from Peter at Music is a Journey, where this tag was announced. And of course, I always like to watch Peter's videos because I find him quite interesting, and also because he inevitably will show at least one band, and usually more that I've never heard of before. So it's always good watching his videos. There were two really interesting things about this video, apart from the fact that it was from Peter. One was that the video was over an hour in length, and I thought, my God, what is Peter doing in this video? And the other thing was that a special guest was noted in the title, and I thought, that's interesting. And I think, as we all know now, that special guest turned out to have been Bobby Gaylor. So if you were making VC videos or watching VC videos up until about a year ago, for some span of time, I'm not sure how long, you may well have encountered Bobby's channel. I always watch his videos because I always loved the positive energy from his channel. He always had a very enthusiastic attitude to the albums he was showing, and always showed the love for the music he was showing, and I always thought that was really infectious. So he left one day without any fanfare, without any, parting speeches, just disappeared. And as it happens, Peter managed to contact him through, well, you can watch Peter's video to get the whole backstory, but Peter managed to contact him, and they came up with this idea of a tag together, which I think is a really good idea. It's great to see Bobby and Peter talk about things. Reminded me of the old days. And after all, summer is just around the corner. Well, I mean, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, summer is around the corner. If you live in the Southern Hemisphere, where everything is upside down and backwards, you'll have to wait a bit longer for summer. But that's okay. So it was really great to see Bobby again on camera in the vinyl community. So they came up with 15 prompts for this tribute to summer, and I thought I would take part. Why not? You should too, even if it's not summer where you live. So the first prompt is: summer usually means constant sunny weather, constant sunny days, I should say. Show an album with an image of the sun on the cover. So I'm going with the first record I thought of for that, and that is Husker Du, New Day Rising, with this image of the sun and reflection on the water and the sun on the back, from 1985. Really cool band out of Minneapolis, led by Bob Mould, one of my favorite musicians. I'm not going to take any records out of the sleeves to show you the inner sleeve or the labels. I'm just going to show you the cover. So Husker Du, New Day Rising for prompt number 1. Number 2 is, since summer is made up of 3 months, June, July, and August, I did know that, show an album by a trio. So there was a part of me that wanted to show Rush, especially since they're in the news so much recently, and they're actually technically not a trio anymore, at least not live, because they have that keyboard player. I decided to go with something completely different and choose Minutemen, and this is Three-Way Tie for Last. And I chose this one because it has 3 in the title as well. I mean, Double Nickels on the Dime is probably the album that they're better known for, but this is a really fun record. There's a cover version of a CCR song on here, which I think is kind of interesting. And there they are on the back, looking all punkish, I suppose. Especially the guy with the parrot. So that's a band by a trio. Number 3, the 4 zodiac signs for the 3 summer months are Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. I can honestly say that I didn't really know that. I knew that Leo and Cancer were because of siblings, but I had no idea what part of the year Virgo was in. I'm completely uninformed about the zodiac. So show an album representing one of these signs in some way. So that's interesting and open to interpretation. And honestly, I had to do some research here because I couldn't even tell you what the symbol or characteristics are of particular signs. But in my research, I did discover that the animal associated with Cancer happens to be a lobster. So I pulled out this Best of the B-52s, Dance This Mess Around, which has this lobster on the cover. And of course, they're known for their track Rock Lobster, which is on here. So that seemed like the obvious choice for the Zodiac. So there you go. Number 4. It's summer break and college kids are returning home and partying with their friends. I guess that's after partying with their student friends. Talk about a drinking song or just one connected to alcohol, and there is a lot to choose from here. And in the end, I opted for a song from Canadian singer and guitarist Kim Mitchell, who was best known, I guess, originally for being a member of Max Webster. Well, the leader of Max Webster. And by the end, he was the only original member left. And then he struck out in a solo career, which I have to say was much more commercial and accessible than Max Webster. Given the choice, I would always choose Max Webster over Kim Mitchell. But I think he's a talented guitarist. I don't think he got the attention he deserved as a guitarist. He's a really excellent guitarist. Anyway, on this record, Akimbo Alogo, there he is on the back, there is a track called Lager and Ale, which you may see listed there. So it's a song about he's at a bar, he's got decisions to be made between lager and ale. And I guess we've all been there at some point. So that's kind of a fun song. I like the guitar in that song. I think it's really, really good. So Kim Mitchell. By the way, he hosted a drive home radio show in Toronto for years and years. Kind of interesting. And then he went back to music. So after his solo career, but then he took a break and went back to more music. So number 5, summer is tornado season. The tri-state tornado in 1925 was on the ground for 219 miles before dissipating. I had no idea about this tornado. Show the 219th album in your collection. So I was torn here between choosing the 209th album that would show up if I sorted my Discogs collection by alphabet. If I did that, it would be wrong because they do that same thing that Steve at the ABC channel does where they alphabetize things by first name. So that would be wrong. So I decided not to do that. So instead, I went to my shelf and counted to the 219th record. And assuming that I didn't make mistakes or skip over a record or make a counting error, this is the 219th record in my collection. From the Black Keys, it's Delta Cream from 2021. And this is a truly magnificent record. One of the best things they've done, if you ask me. It's their cover album of hill country blues songs, and it is phenomenal. You know, this is right up there with one of my favorite Black Keys records. The thing they did for Junior Kimbrough as well, I thought was just truly excellent. I love that record. So this at the back here. You can see some of the tracks. I think this is just a brilliant record. I love it. If you like the Black Keys and you haven't heard this, I recommend that you give that a listen. It's excellent. Okay, so number 6, Brain Freeze. July is National Ice Cream Month. Didn't know that. Show an artist that has a song with the word cold in the title. Now, there are so many songs with the word cold in the title. In the end, I decided to go with an album I don't think I've ever shown in any video ever, and that's from the Violent Femmes. This is The Blind Leading the Naked from 1986. And if you're a fan, you may well know there's a song in here called Cold Canyon, which is quite good. Love this band. I saw them in concert once, and it was a bit of a weird concert. It was at a large festival, and they came out and played, but they didn't say a word to the crowd. They just walked on stage. I don't even think they said hello. They started playing, they played through all their songs, and then they left. It was a little strange, but it was a hot day. So, the Violent Femmes, number 7. Flag Day is observed in the United States on June 14th. Show an album with the flag on the cover. Well, I've chosen an album that sort of has a flag on the cover, and it's not an American flag. But I went with David Bowie's Earthling, his kind of drum and bass record, and that absolutely fantastic coat he's wearing. It looks like it's made out of an old Union Jack or Union Jacks. It looks a bit tattered and torn, but something about that jacket I find quite interesting. Some Bowie fans didn't like this record. I think it's terrific. Double record, fantastic songs on here. And this album cover I think is really great. I love that. I don't think I'd wear that if I had it, but I think it's really cool. Number 8, July 1st is Canada Day. Yay, show a Canadian band. Well, this is dead easy for me because I live in Canada, but also a little complicated because I've shown a lot of Canadian music in the past. I did a whole bunch of videos on bands from Toronto. And currently I'm doing this countdown of my 200 favorite Canadian bands of all time. So over the course of that, I will mention or show 200 different Canadian artists or bands, which is interesting. You might find it boring, but I find it kind of interesting. So I wanted to choose something that is not on that list. So I've chosen something that I actually really love, but it didn't make the list, and I'm trying to put into words why it didn't make this list. I had the same sort of feeling when I talked about post-rock on that list as, can I really put it on? Because it has such a different structure, so it's really weird to hear like a pop song or a rock song and then hear something from a post-rock band. This is a similar kind of thing. They're sort of post-rock, kind of dream pop, kind of shoegaze. Someone referred to them once as sleep rock. a band I love. I've seen them in concert, but I didn't really know how to fit them into the 200 that in a way that made sense. So it's a band called Picastro. This is their fourth record. It's called Become Secret. It's their, I think, from 2010. And I have seen them in concert, and I thought it was quite riveting. But a very atmospheric record, a bit dark in places, a bit discordant in places, a bit mysterious in places. Truly great, though. But it's not on my list because I couldn't figure it out. Okay, number 9. The Dog Days of Summer start on July the 3rd. Show an album that's a dog in your collection, one you no longer listen to, dislike, or want to purge. Now, I'm going to revisit a record I mentioned before that I was going to purge, but I haven't done it yet, so it's still sitting in a pile, and that is a band called No. Now, what a terrible name for a band. If you want to be invisible on the internet, just name your band No. You might as well call it The. How are you going to find that? I mean, unlike Yes, I mean, they've been around so long, there's probably millions of references to the band Yes, so there's a good chance when you search for Yes, your search engine is going to know that's what you're looking for. Anyway, this is a record called El Prado with the upside down people here. And on the back, it's confusing because the text is this way, but the album's upside down. I was in a record store and this was on sale for something like $8. And I read some reviews online and it was compared to The National in some ways. And so I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. So someone, I think, said a less optimistic West Coast National or a less successful version of Elbow. I like both of those bands, but this one did not do it for me. I find it really kind of boring. And yet there are people online who rave about this album. I gave it one last listen. I don't think I'm going to give it another listen. I'm just going to part with it at some point. So that's going. Now, number 10, Summer Camp. Every morning, a bugle-blowing reverie wakes you up. I don't want to experience that. Show a band or song with horns. And one of the songs that occurred to me right off the bat is from a band that strangely not everyone likes, and that is Genesis. This happens to be 3 sides live with 3 live sides and 1 studio side. I think in some areas this was 4 live sides. Anyway, 3 sides live. On the 4th side, the studio side, there's a track called Paper Late, which features the Earth, Wind, and Fire horn section. That's a cracker of a song. I mean, I clearly like the earlier Genesis a lot better. I'm okay with the later stuff. I do like it, just not as much. So this is a track that is very, maybe more commercial, perhaps, very upbeat. I do like the horns in it. I think it really works well. It reminds me of some of the other horns tracks that that Genesis had. I think it's pretty cool, actually. So I'll put that one for the number 10. Number 11, July 27th is Take Your Houseplant for a Walk Day. I had no idea that existed. Show an album with a flower, shrub, plant, etc. on the cover. I'm likely not going to take my plant for a walk, but if you want an album with a plant on the cover, here's Robert Plant. Even has a flag. I'm kidding. Here is the one I was going to show you. So this is Stevie Wonder's Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants, this horrible green color, and there's a plant right there. There's a plant on the back. And I will say right away, I don't know very much about this record. I've had it for a long time. And I think it came out in 79. I've listened to it a couple of times, but it didn't really click with me. Now maybe I need to hear it again. I do like the classic Stevie Wonder years, so maybe it deserves another chance. And it folds out into 3 panels. It's a double album. People speak very highly of this record. I think I will have to give it another listen soon. So I won't take a plant for a walk, but maybe I'll take this for a walk. I don't know. It's got an embossed cover too, which is kind of interesting. That is number 11. Number 12, summer blockbuster movies are released. Show a favorite soundtrack. I'm going to show a soundtrack for a movie that was released in November, so it kind of misses the summer thing, but it still was a pretty significant movie, I guess. But looking at the cover, you're not going to know what it is unless you know what it is. There's no text on it. There is on the spine. This is the soundtrack for the film Less Than Zero, which is based on the Bret Easton Ellis novel of the same name. I have read the book. I have not seen the movie. And I wanted this because I was tracking down a specific song that I wanted to have. It took me a long time to find this. I think this is hard to find, but it might have been repressed. So Aerosmith is on here, Roy Orbison, Poison, and the song I was looking for was LL Cool J's Going Back to Cali, because that song really clicked with me. I love the video on that. I think it's a good song. We have Glenn Danzig and The Power, and Fury Orchestra, Slayer, Public Enemy, Bring the Noises on here, excellent. Black Flames, Joan Jett, Orange Juice Jones, The Bangles doing Hazy Shade of Winter. So a really interesting soundtrack from one of my favorite soundtracks. I think it's got an interesting selection of tracks, and I guess I should see the movie one day. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it. Number 13 is something that says, Cat nights begin on August 17th. I didn't know that. It's an old legend saying a witch could turn herself into a cat. Show an album with a cat on the cover and one with a witch on the cover. So we're going to continue with the LL Cool J theme with Walking with a Panther. And look at that. That's a really impressive looking, well, I think it's really a jaguar. I don't think panther really is the proper term. So Black Panther, but really a jaguar. That is pretty fantastic. It's upped a little bit by the back cover, where we have his addition of his three friends with the cat, and they've got some champagne, and he's talking on some really primitive looking cell phone, I guess. Really cool cover, Walking with a Panther from LL Cool J with I'm That Type of Guy. Great video. So the witch, or the cover with the witch on, is a cover that almost has a witch on it. And I mentioned this record quite recently in a different thread, but it's Frank Zappa's Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch, which, to be fair, is probably just the witch's hat. It seems like it's floating and she's already sunk to the depths of the ocean. But that album cover, I think, is one of my favorites because it's just so evocative with just a simple line drawing. It's perfect. So, with Valley Girl, of course. Number 14. Summer is a time when people take a lot of road trips. What's a good song for a road trip? So when I read that prompt, I kept thinking about this cassette tape I made many years ago that I dubbed the Niagara tape, because I used it when I drove to Niagara and back on one particular summer. And you know, unlike some people, I guess many people would choose like really upbeat, propulsive kind of driving music, but I sometimes pick the opposite. So this particular tape that I called the Niagara tape started with Laurie Anderson's From the Air. It had REM's How the West Was Won, and Where It Got Us, Neil Young's Western Hero. I Think I'm in Love by Spiritualized. What else? Some Dead Can Dance. Darshan, that epic track from David Sylvian and Robert Fripp. And I always made my cassettes into cases where I put art, or put them in the art in the case. So this is an example of one where I have an image of Toronto. Unfortunately, the Niagara tape was destroyed by a terrible cassette player in a rental car. So I was in my mind trying to remember what was on that particular tape. But there is one song I know it was on it as well, and that is a song called Giant from The. Now, this is a magnificent song, my favorite song from The. It's long, something like 9 minutes, and it starts really deceptively in a way, just a interesting song with some lyrics. But then partway through, it switches to this propulsive drum beat, which is kind of really repetitive, and then it moves into this kind of chanting, which I think it's actually a terrific song. And this particular 2014 RSD release has the original version and then a remix by DJ Flood, which is pretty good. But here's the back. So I think that's a terrific song and something I love to hear in the car. 15. Summer Means Heat. Show 4 bands that in alphabetical order spell out the word heat. I'm going to show 3 bands and 1 singer. So for H, we have Hendrix, and that goes under H, not J. Jimi Hendrix. First Rays of the New Rising Sun, which I think fits the theme quite nicely of this summer tag. For E, I've chosen Eels. It was this beautiful freak, and of course this has Novocaine for the Soul on it, which is a terrific song. So Eels, she's freaky, eh? A, we have Tom York's Atoms for Peace with Amok. So A and A, H-E-A. And for T, I just grabbed my favorite record from Tears for Fears, which happens to be The Hurting. And I realize this image is more of a fall image because the trees have no leaves on them, but there's ducks. So it's sort of summery, late summer maybe. So The Hurting from 1983. And that is it. I encourage you to do this tag and to at least watch the video with on Peter's channel if you haven't seen it before. It's a fun video to see, bring back memories of having watched all of Bobby Gaylor's videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.